Hi, and welcome to Ember in Action Series, Episode 2, Books List Component. In this episode, we'll create book list component, and for that, we'll see how to create new route, define modal hook in this route, set properties to controller, pass data to the component, and we'll see how to implement Bootstrap navigation bar active links styling. So, let's get started. So here is our application that we have now. Not much, right? So let's add navigation bar, which has a link to books list. So for that, let's open application.hbs file from templates. We get rid of this welcome to Ember. Instead of it, we define container, fluid. Inside of this container, we'll have outlet, and we'll have our navbar component. And of course, remember that we must specify dash in the component. We can't do navbar like that. And now to define the component, all we need to do is to define its template. Until we really need some kind of a special behavior for this component, we do not need to explicitly define it because Ember will do it for us automatically in the memory. So all we need to do is in templates folder, in components, define nav-bar.hbs file. Yes, let's create it. And I just copy and paste navbar from Bootstrap. So right here, where we have an ordered list, let's define list item and link to books route. Like this. So now if we save it and go back to browser, of course, we do not have anything because we do not have books route. So let's go back and open router.js file. And inside of this router.map, we define this route books. Now if we save it and go to browser, you'll see our nav bar. But if we go to books while we are here, we do not have this active link item. And that happens because Ember actually marks the link itself with the active class. But for Bootstrap to work, we need to mark list item tag with active class. So there is a simple workabout about that. So let's go back to navbar. And instead of using link inside of list item, we'll define link to points to books, but with a tag name of list item. And inside of it, we define empty anchor tag with empty href named books. And let's close this link too. Let's save it, go back to browser, and you can see that now we have this active link. Excellent. So now we need to populate this books route template. We'll have two columns. On the left here, we'll have the books list, and on the right, the details of the selected book on the left. So let's do this. So for that, we need to create in templates books.hbs file. Here we'll have row with col small 4 plus col small 8. Inside of this col small, we'll define books list component. And inside of col small 8, we do not define anything for now. Okay, to define component, all we need to do is to define template. So let's do this. In components, we define books list.hbs. And it's going to be a div with list group class. And inside of it, we'll have anchor tag with class list group item. And for example, book 1. Let's save it. Let's go to browser. And now you can see we have this book 1. Okay, but we hard code book 1, it doesn't mean anything. What we want to do is pass some data, some collection to this particular component. So what we want is something like this. We want to iterate through books as book, and this books collection should be passed to this component. And then here, instead of book 1, we'll have, of course, book.title, and let's close each here. Okay, so now we need to pass books to this component. So let's go back to books.hbs template. Here we'll have books equals books. Very easy, right? So now we need to define these books here. And we need to define it on a controller. And to do that, we need to set up our controller in route. So let's create route. In app routes, we create books.js file. We import Ember from Ember. And we export default ember.route.extend. So here we set up controller. And there's a function which takes controller and models. So this models is actually a hash that will have books as a collection, right? And now if we have this kind of models set up on the controller, we can access this books collection from the template as we did earlier. So this hash will be returned from model hook. Okay, but in a setup controller, of course, we do not have this thing. We return controller, set properties, models. And now we need to return this collection from this hook. So we return Ember RSVP hash. And that's a hash wrapped in a promise. And here we define books as a collection of objects with title awesome book. And let's create another one with title not so good one. Now if we save it and go to browser, you'll see that we have awesome book and not so good one. So this is the flow of the data. We fetch data in route, in model hook, right here. Usually you'll fetch it from the server, and then you set up this data on the controller as a property. Then in template, you'll pass this data to the component, and then the component will use this data to render some content. So this is the preferred way to do this until we have routable components. At that point, we won't need to use controllers as proxies anymore. Okay, that's it for this episode. If you liked it, please subscribe to my YouTube channel, like the video and share it with your friends, or follow me on Twitter. If you want to ask any question or simply say hello, go to my blog, ramzalatih.net. Thank you very much for your time and have a great day.